Okay, well, let's go ahead and get started now. And I want to start up and talking about creating a life that you love. And, even if that life is becoming trailer trash whore. Now, I came into a conversation this about a week ago with this really attractive 30-something woman. She's single. She's a professional individual. So she's like got game going on. And she makes a great income and loves her life in many areas. But the thing is that she was talking about how she would just really love for some guy to come along and sweep her off her feet and take her into a trailer court, a mobile home park, or something of that nature, and let her be a trailer trash whore. And that was her desire. And I got to thinking about that, you see, and at first it's kind of like you want to judge that. But you see, if it's something that somebody wants to create in their life, then we shouldn't be a judge of what anybody else wants to create. In fact, you never know where that might go. And so there's little things like this that it may seem odd to you or odd to someone else that you create for your life, but yet that may be what the need in your life is, to be a springboard to create true greatness in your life. And so create a life that you absolutely love, and even if that is becoming a trailer trash whore or whatever it is. But the thing is that what is it that you choose about this? The thing is, I learned that you've got to first start out by making a choice that you're going to stop just kind of floating along or going along, or like you'll set some goals. And like I know people that they set goals for their work because they're, it's part of their requirement, their job requirements. But yet they really don't take the time to figure out what kind of a life that they desire to create, and the life that they would just love, and in 10 years, we're in the roaring decade of the 20s now, the roaring 20s. And in 10 years from now, think about, project yourself forward. Where would you like to be? And if you were looking back on this roaring 20s decade, what would just make you feel really excited when you look back on this 10-year period of time? Because this 10 years is going to go faster than you can imagine it will go. And if you don't take some steps here to learn how to create a life that you love, then 10 years from now, you'll just be 10 years older. But see, the thing is that we are not taught how to create a life that you love. It's just not something that a lot of people have any idea. They're taught how to maybe create things that they like in life, but to actually create a life that you wake up every day and you're just excited to get to live another day. And so I'm going to be talking about that then here today, and I hope then you will be following along in the conversation. Now, there are inner identities that we have that are wanting and struggling to get out. And I've talked to conversation with people about how they have an inner slut that's inside of them. And slut, that's a word that some people then want to take and feel like, no, I don't have a slut inside of me. But, we put our own negative energy on that. But in reality, a slut is a beautiful individual to be. I myself consider myself as a slut, and so does my partner, Kat. And it's a wonderful thing to be a slut. That's because that we allowed our inner slut to come out of us. And so the same thing, that we've started to also allow our inner genius. We know where brilliance comes from in our life and how to create that energy of brilliance. And that's because we're creating our lives, the lives that we love. And so there's an inner genius in each and every one of us that'll bring brilliance out in you. And of course, then inside of you also is the spirit of inner calmness and peace. And that's then part of your inner spirit. And so those are all your inner identities. And when you can take them and be those inner identities, when you allow them to get out, you're able to live your authentic self, your true self. And so that's the life that we would like to talk to you about today, about creating this, is getting in touch, because some people don't even know how to get in touch with their true self, because for so long they have had to suppress and repress and depress it. It certainly was the way in my life most of the time for about 20 years of my adult life, actually 25 years, about 20 to 45. And so we become used to repressing and suppressing and depressing that inner slut and that inner genius and that inner peace and that inner spirit. And so we want to help you to create a life that you love by bringing those aspects of your life out. And so what we find then is that we have in our life is what we call where we are now. We call it our current reality. And then on the opposite side, we have where we want to be, and we call that our desired reality. And so I'm going to be talking about these two terms as I go through here. And so our current reality is where we are right now. Our desired reality, think about, again, where in 10 years from now would you like to be with your wellness? Where would you like to be with your wealth? Where would you like to be with your relationships? And where would you like to be with your sex life? And so that's your desired reality. And so the big question, of course, then comes along and says, how do we get there? And that's what we're here to talk about today, is how we can help you get there. We talk about taking magnetic action steps. You see, and so I'm going to take at the very end of our conversation here, I'm going to put up a slide that'll have action steps written out for you. Right now, we've just got one action step, but because we haven't gone through the presentation yet. But the one action step that I have for you now is to go ahead and click on the like and the subscribe button if you haven't already become a subscriber to my channel. And so go ahead and click on the like button if you like the video. But also I want you to participate as we go along here. And feel free to put any questions you have there in the comment section. I won't go and stop while I'm in my presentation, but I will come back to all the questions when I'm done here. And so put your questions in the comment box and comment as we go through this. So why doesn't everybody succeed at creating the life that they absolutely love all the time? Does everybody succeed like Bill Gates, like, the owner of Amazon or the owner of Netflix or the owner of, I could name all these, the names, I can name all the names, or I can name the companies, and why don't people succeed where they have that kind of success in their wealth and in their health and in their relationships? And so some people try, but sadly some people don't even try. And so that's one of the reasons, is that some people just sadly don't try, and then those who do try often end up giving up. I know I did, because there I was, got out of college and in my early 20s, and I just thought, I got the tiger by the tail and I'm ready just to rip things up. By the time I got to be 30, I hadn't ripped it up in the way I wanted to. And so it's where somewhere in my 30s, I just kind of stopped really trying to have the life that I absolutely loved living all the time, where I'd be able to have the money flowing into me like I'd like to have. And I'd have the health and being able to have ability increasing instead of disability increasing. And I'd be able to have the relationships and the sex life that I want. And so somewhere in my 30s, I just kind of lost sight of all that and just started doing this thing of going through life. And so maybe that's you. Some people try and some people don't even try. And those who do try end up not trying as well. Well, and then creating the life that you most desire usually requires you changing some things and doing some things differently. And because, I mean, obviously, if what you have done so far hasn't helped you to create that life that you would most desire, again, thinking about 10 years, because it doesn't take more than 10 years to create the life that would be the financial life that you just would dream to have, or the life that you would have with your health that you would dream to have, or the life that you would have in your relationships or your sex life. It doesn't even take 10 years to create these things, but it requires that there's some change that takes place. And so most people end up not having the life that they want, or the life that they live, because change is usually difficult. It takes a long time, and it can be expensive. Well, we're going to show you some things different than that today. But one of the things about creating the life that you absolutely love is that we all have our own hang-ups and our mental barriers or conditioning from society and family expectations, cultural influences, personal walls, friends and family members that hold us back, or don't want us to jump out and be different. And we have our memories, and we have our BS, which is our belief systems. And all of that keeps us from creating and living the life that we absolutely love all the time. And that was one of the things that, for me, I was really struggling here, actually not too long ago, when I came across some just amazing material that we're going to be telling you about here later in the presentation. But that material has allowed me to overcome my personal hangups and overcome my mental barriers and my belief systems and my memories. And so there's some amazing processes out there that we can help you to tap into, and you'll be really amazed at what those can do. And when you find that you can actually take and tap into these processes, you start to expand your mind. Because so often we go through that 10-year process where we don't get where we want to go, and in our mind we just allow it to shrink and get smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. And then by the time you're 40 and 50 and 60 years old, what you're talking about being really excited about doing is going out gardening, working on the car, these kinds of things. And so instead of just reducing those thoughts and those desires, we want to help you to create the life that you're excited about living every day. And so in doing that, your inner self is your best guide. You see, but we're taught to not listen to that inner self. We are taught not to pay attention to it. Maybe you're different than I am, but so often I know many people I have talked to over the years that they don't listen to what's inside of them, because they're really taught to listen to all the stuff that goes on outside of them. And so we're not being taught how to tap into and hear our inner self. You learn how to ignore the very thing that is your personal genius and your individuality and what makes you unique and great, which is what comes from within you. And so you start to ignore that. And you are at your best when you are allowed to create that life that you love. And that inner self is a GPS system for you. I've talked about this on videos over the last couple of years, but it's a GPS system, in that your personal energy is your feelings, your words, and your thoughts. And so if any of those three elements end up going into negative territory in your life, and it's something that's easy to happen every single day, many times throughout the day, and when they go into negative territory, that's a flag for you. And so that tells you that that's your inner, that negative feeling, that negative words, your negative thoughts are telling you that something's off, something's not right, and it's your inner self. And tap into that. And one of the things in the creation process we work with you on is to tap into that inner self And so to get that all right so that you're living in what we call harmonic balance, and every single day you're able to go through life where your words and your thoughts and also your feelings are just full of this beautiful, loving energy because you love the life that you are living every day and all day long. And so we help you with our coaching program that I'm going to be talking to you about throughout this presentation. We help you to tap into your true self and have clarity for moving forward, creating the life that you most desire. Because a lot of people, they lack that clear, crystal clear focus and knowing what that life is. And so we help you define that and figure that out. Have you ever heard the story about this social experiment that was done by some psychologists? I mean, this is a famous study that was done. And what they did is they put 5 monkeys in a room. And then in that room, they put a ladder, and at the top of the ladder, they put some bananas up there. And then they put a big old, basically they used a big old hose, and they were like over at the top of the walls peeking in on the monkeys and all that with that hose. And so what happened is that there was this monkey then who saw those bananas up at the top of the ladder. And so the monkey then thought, hey, I'm going to run up that ladder and I'm going to get bananas. And so what the people watching this, they went ahead and doused the other 4 monkeys that are on the ground. They doused them with water. And those 4 monkeys then, they didn't like getting doused with water like that, so that when the other monkey came back down, they beat that monkey up because they figured that's what caused the water they didn't want to get doused with. And so then the next time another monkey went up the ladder to get some bananas, then again, that this social scientist, they went ahead and just drenched those monkeys in water. Well, that monkey came down and got beat up. And so the monkeys learned really quick that the monkeys that are on the floor getting drenched, then they run over to that ladder and they just pull that monkey down off that ladder. And they got violent, beat that monkey up. And so what happened over time, though, is then no monkeys would go up that ladder. And so what they did is they took 1 monkey out and they brought a new monkey in. And when they brought the new monkey in, then of course that monkey saw those bananas and didn't have the conditioning of that the other monkeys had been through. And so that monkey ran up that ladder to get the bananas. And of course, then the other 4 monkeys, they just went crazy. And they literally beat that monkey up and pulled him off that ladder. And so they then went and they took another one of the monkeys out and replaced it with another new monkey. And what they found in this process of replacing these monkeys, at one point, they had 5 monkeys in the room that had never had a splash of water on them. And yet, those monkeys would not even attempt to go up that ladder. You see, that's what social conditioning does to us. And that's why I emphasize that my creation process brought to my life where I created a life that's uncommon, that's not conventional, that is progressive. And so we want to help you to take and do that as well. And that's just like shifting our thoughts a little bit. Because if you were to ask those monkeys, well, how come that, you're not going up after the bananas? And the monkeys, if they could answer you, they would just say, well, I don't know. That's just the way it's always been. And once they've been conditioned, they've never been sprayed with water, the ones that are left there, but they've all been conditioned. And then they have this little set of support where the monkeys know that those bananas mean trouble for them. And so they just let the bananas be. So a question to you would be is, what monkeys have power over you which keep you from having the life that you most desire? We all have our own group of monkeys. Some of those monkeys are our own monkeys. That was my biggest thing, is not the monkeys that were external in my life, they were trying to pull me into the monkey pit. But no, most of my monkeys were myself. And that was the big gorilla. And so you probably have a few of those big gorillas in your life as well. But then who knows, maybe you've got friends and family members and coworkers and neighbors that are your monkeys that keep you from having the life that you desire the most. Well, our coaching program, one of the aspects of it is that we're going to help you take and have a new group of monkeys that you can enjoy spending time around, that the monkeys won't keep you locked and stuck in your current reality. They're actually going to help you and keep you and help you moving into your desired reality. And so this is just a new, different kind of community. And that's yet the kind of community that people that have really create the lives that they love to live, they create that kind of community for them. And we're creating that kind of community that you can join as well when you join our coaching program. Now, do you know what the banister effect is? The banister effect, yeah. Well, maybe this will help. Any thoughts? What is the banister effect? You see, the banister effect is what was impossible yesterday is today's reality. You see, that's what one of the things that Roger Bannister, that it was impossible to break the 4-minute mile. They even had medical evidence to show that it was impossible for the human body to break the 4-minute mile. And now we have kids in high school breaking the 4-minute mile. And so many other areas of life that we have been applying what's called the Bannister effect, and that is that we start thinking in possibilities instead of impossibilities. So we think about our possibilities, and we don't think about impossibilities. And that's the Roger or the Bannister effect. So that what was impossible yesterday is today reality. In fact, is my ability to even be making this video today and to be talking to you today, that ability wasn't available 20 years ago, even 10 years ago. And so what's impossible yesterday is today's reality. And there's new possibilities opening up to you every day. And when you create your life with that understanding that what's possible in creating your life with your health. Some people say, well, the doctor told me there's no cure for this and I have to be on the medication, all this. Yeah, well, the doctors say a lot of things, but that doesn't mean it's true. Okay. And, it's one of the things in our coaching program, we'll work with people on to show people that many things are possible with your health. Do you know that in Australia, they have been studying some things for the last 10 years, and they found that people with multiple personalities, well, they've been able to find that a lot of these people with multiple personalities have different problems health-wise. And take the example of one person that they studied that had multiple personalities. When that person was in one personality, that person was clearly diagnosed as having diabetes. And yet when that person was in another multiple personality, that person didn't have any diabetes at all in their system. How can that possibly be? Where medically they're diagnosed, have everything that the doctors say, yes, you're diabetic and you've got to take this insulin, you've got to do this, there's no cure for you today. And yet when they're in their other personality, that they don't have diabetes at all. You see, it started to show these people in Australia that were studying this, that the things that are going on in the brain that they didn't understand. And so they started to study that and learn it. And because of that, what was impossible yesterday is today becoming reality for people. And that can be in wellness, and that can be in wealth, and that can be in relationships and in your sex life. Some people would say it's impossible for me to live a ethically and consensually non-monogamous sex life. Well, if you say it is, it is. But after myself, I mean, I was locked in a religious-based marriage where we were extremely religious. And yet, because of suffering that went on in my life sexually, where I just reached a point in my life, I wasn't willing to be sexually miserable for the rest of my life. And that I made a decision when I was 47 years old that I wasn't going to continue to living in sexual misery the rest of my life. And so I started talking to my wife about opening our marriage. That was a process, and this may be where you need a coach at. But maybe you need a coach in transitioning your relationship or in helping your relationship to thrive. And maybe it's already ethically and consensually non-monogamous, but it's just not thriving. Or maybe you have other relationships in your life that also aren't thriving in your professional life, or maybe it's your wealth, or maybe it's your health. All these things can be helped through coaching. And so we're going to help you to be part of a tribe of monkeys that you're going to enjoy running with, that'll inspire you with what is possible. Well, maybe you heard something like this. Money is the root of all evil. Well, you see, money is neutral. Money doesn't change your true self when you are being your true self. Now, you might have seen or heard of people where money changed them. It's because they weren't being their true, authentic being, like many people going through their life. They're not living as their true, authentic, inner, true self. Because when you're living your life as your inner, true self, then money will never change that. It'll only enhance that and make it better. And so with that true self is evil and just awful person, which really I doubt that it is. But if it was, then possibly money then would be evil. But chances are the more money you can make, the more good that you can spread around, and more good you can do for yourself, and more good you can spread around. So money is not the root of all evil. And maybe you heard, something about, it's bad that when you go around saying, that's mine, 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 mine. We're taught that selfishness is just a terrible thing. But you know what? Selfishness, just like money, is neutral. In fact, it takes a degree of selfishness for you just to want to go to work so you can earn that paycheck. Selfishness is completely neutral, and one of the things for you to create the life that you are going to absolutely love living every day, it takes a degree of selfishness. And when you have that kind of selfishness, then you have more of you to share with the people that you love, and it's the better you, not the compromised you. And we'll talk more about that in a little bit. So what we're going to help you to do in our coaching program is we're going to help you to be selfish, make a lot of money, and create the life that you desire the most, and do whatever you want with the money. How's that sound? But see, in your current reality, when you figure out what to do next, what happens is you're sitting there where you're at now with your current reality, and you're trying to think, well, here's what I want, and I'd like to make, $20,000 a month. And you're trying to figure that out. Well, what most people are used to doing is using what we call a really push philosophy, where you're trying to move forward towards your desired reality in order to get there. Or you're also, a lot of times you're moving away from something you don't want. And so it takes a lot of motivation. You need to be motivated. And we find that that's just not really how it works. And this one, we're going to be talking about things that you've been taught along the way, but look at the people who teach these things to you. Are they living the life that they absolutely love and are crazy about every day? Likely not. Are they living the life of wealth and abundance and life of lovely, lovely sexual encounters with many people and relationships that really encourage them and inspire them, and then having a health that is not declining over the years, but is continuing to give them more ability over the years instead of less. And so your motivation, or often at times, in fact, it's a lack of motivation, is based upon outside inputs often. It's the outside inputs like your need to have acceptance from other people and approval, and in order for you to feel special. And so that's one of the things we work with you on, is so that you realize that you don't need outside acceptance and approval to feel special, because you are special. And when you start to understand who you really are, that inner, tapping into that inner being, you will understand fully that you really are special, just like you are right now. You don't need to fix yourself. You're not broken. You are special, just as you are right now. And so we're going to help you to understand that, because when that's a foundational piece. When you understand that you're special right now, you don't need to fix things, you're not broken, then that allows you to have a different process where you're going to create the life that you absolutely are in love with. And that's what we call a magnetic process. Is that magnetic process is then pulling you like a magnet to the things that you desire in your life. And yet it's also pushing away the things that really just aren't serving your life. And for me, it was pushing away my sister and pushing her out of my life. And I'll talk about that more at another time, I'm sure. But she was toxic. She's been toxic all of my life. And so I finally had to push her out of my life. Now, if she ever wants to change that, that's up to her, but I'm certainly not going to allow her back into my life in a toxic way. In fact, we just don't even talk. And so sometimes, there's just people that you need to push out of your life. And so that's what we call this a magnetic process, where in creating your life is pulling you like a magnet to the life that you desire. And it's pushing you like a magnet for the things that aren't good in your life and things that you don't desire. And so magnetic push and pull is a process that we help you to feel it before you see it. Think about vacation. When you go and you make those plans and you make your reservations for that cruise or that vacation that you've been dreaming of it going on. And so once you go ahead and actually buy the plane tickets, buying those plane tickets or making that reservation or putting some money down, that process creates these feelings in you, and you start to live it. Now they've done medical studies on this, that the greatest amount of benefit from going on a vacation comes from that point when you make that initial commitment to go on that vacation. And when you go on the vacation, that point in there, before you even go on the vacation, but that point in there, you get more benefits from your mental and physical and emotional well-being than actually going on the vacation. And so, that's where it's because those benefits come to you because of how you're feeling suddenly. Because you're going to be going on that vacation. The closer you get to that vacation, then the greater you feel. And so that's part of the process that we use. We help you to create the life that you love, so that every day, right now, where you're at now, in your current reality, that you are loving your life as if you have already created that life that you are going to have 10 years down the road from now. Because that creates that process, just like going on vacation, where it's pulling you in that direction. And so it's what we call magnetic lifestyles. When you begin to feel it before you see it, you begin taking magnetic actions in order to actually be it. And when you are it, you don't seek anything outside of yourself. You don't need achievements, and you don't need acceptance and approval from others to be special, because you are already special. I saw a movie 2 days ago at the theaters. It's in the theaters now. It's called The Gentleman. And it starts out in the first clip is a statement. When you don't have to be, I don't remember the exact quote, but I think it was something like, you don't have to be the king when you are the king. And when you watch that movie, you'll see throughout that movie that theme is carried out in everything that happens in that movie. It's because he saw it before he was it. You have to see it before you can be it. You have to feel it before you can see it. And so that's part of the creation process that our coaching program helps you with. Every little thing that you want to create in your life, we help you to feel it first so that you can then, once you feel it, you can start to be it. And then once you start to be it, then you will actually see it. Seeing is when you actually have it right there in your hand. And so you first then see it before you be it. Excuse me, the other way around. You be it before you see it. And so I want to help you to take magnetic action, pulling you to the life that you most desire. Taking magnetic action to create the life that you love all the time, you step into giving your highest self and the best you. You see, you step into it. Like we mentioned earlier about this process of change is slow and it's difficult. It can also be expensive. And so that process of change, well, what if you didn't have to go through that process? Well, when we're coaching you, we're going to show you how not to go through that process of changing. Instead, we're going to show you how to go through a process of stepping into being your higher self and stepping into being the best you. And so you do that for yourself, not for others, not for other people's approval and all that, but first you do it for you. Because that's part of the problem is that we live our lives for other people. And when you're living your life for someone else all the time, then after a while, it's pretty hard to create the life that you love. And so when you start to be selfish in this process, and you then start to create that life for yourself first, that's when the magnetic process starts to work in your life. So then secondly, though, yes, you start to give your loved ones your highest self and your best self instead of your marginalized self and compromised self. And lastly, you give the world at large your higher self. There is more of you to give the world. That's the inner genius and the brilliance there waiting to serve the world that is going to help you to create so many of the other things in your life. And so you will end up serving the world in a higher way as well. Now, as I mentioned here, we have a coaching program, and we call it our Foundations to Freedom. And our coaching teaches you how, and shows you how to create the life that you love all the time. Not just maybe once in a while, or not just when you feel like it, but you start out in the morning, just feel like, I love my life. And then you go throughout your day that way. That's a happy way to live your life. And it's a way that you can share your life that everybody around you will feel that love and that happiness and that energy. They'll see the difference. When I started this process in my life, that's one of the things that convinced my wife that ethical and consensual non-monogamy was something that she wanted to try as well. Because at first, you see, when we became non-monogamous, she just stayed monogamous with me. But she saw the energy and the love and the happiness that it's bringing into my life, because not only the sex I was creating in my life, but the health I was creating in my life, the wellness, and also then the relationships I was creating in my life. And I had already created and been successful financially, but so she saw these other things, and she had a great life from the financial life that I created. She didn't have to go to a job for the last 20 years of her life, over 20 years of her life. She's no longer living. She didn't have to go off to a job or anything like that. And so, she loved that part of her life, but she still knew that with the relationships and health and with sex, she saw that it made a huge difference in my life. And she started like, yeah, I want some of that. And she kind of came over to my side, and she started living an ethically and consensually non-monogamous life herself. So in creating your foundation of freedom, we want to take and help you to decide where to start working first. But that may be in your wellness, or it may be in your wealth. It may be in your relationships, or it may be in enjoying those orgasms, giving those orgasms and receiving those orgasms with multiple people regularly, and just having a beautiful, beautiful sexual experience that really helps to just put that truth, excitement, and just energy in your life on a regular basis. So it all contributes: your health, your wellness, your wealth, your relationships, and your sex life. It's all a package. And so we're going to help you to put that package together so it is the life that you would love to live. Well, you see, one of the things, though, is that we end up creating those obstacles in our life, those things that are our hang-ups and our mental barriers and our conditioning from our societal and family expectations and our cultural influences, personal walls, friends and family members, and obstacles that they bring into our life, and then our memories and our BS belief system. Well, all of that, we create that as obstacles instead of seeing and understanding it as opportunities. And our coaching program is going to help you to see the opportunities, because our biggest obstacle in our life are the barriers that our mind creates. And the mind is very powerful in creating those barriers and those obstacles. Believe me, I know very well how powerful the brain is in creating those barriers. But you see, I also know about what changing that for me, because I started seeing obstacles, but then I started to shift that and see it as opportunities. And with seeing it as opportunities, I started having options. So no longer was it a wall, no longer was it a barrier, no longer was it a family member that was telling me, putting me down, that I couldn't do something or anything like that. And so we'll help you to create opportunities out of what you now have as obstacles. And one of the tools in our toolbox is been developed by my mentor. It's a process over the last 10 years that have been developed in Australia. And it's absolutely magical. If you haven't watched the video, I've been in my email that I send out on Fridays. A couple of weeks ago put this video in that email. But it's talked about a process that's called recoding. And that email showed Chris, my mentor in Australia, doing a demonstration of that recode. And now he helps people go through, and he helps thousands of people every week go through this process of recoding their brain, which is really rewiring the brain. Because the brain, we used to think the brain was hardwired. And that's why it made change. It made changes hard and difficult and taking a lot of time. We found that, though, that's just not true. And so this process over the last 10 years has been developed in Australia, and it literally just came to the United States this year. And Kat and I are both very fortunate to have been in the right place at the right time with the right people to be able to take and be one of a very small handful of people in the United States that are getting certification by Chris in order to do this, what they are having great success with in Australia, and helping people to rewire their brains and overcome all of those obstacles and turn them into opportunities. And I've got a bonus that I want to offer you. And that is because I'm going to talk to you about our coaching program. Obviously, I've been talking about that throughout the video here. And Chris, my mentor, he has this recoding program that he offers to people where he takes them through 12 months of working with them every single week through the internet or online. And so he's been generous in allowing me to have this bonus. And he charges thousands of dollars for this program. I mean, it's a year-long program. That's 52 weeks. And you can spend time twice a week with Chris. And then we have coaches like like myself and Kat, that are also online doing these processes. And this recoding is just one of 12 processes that we use in our coaching program to help you to create the life that you love. But the magic thing about this process is that when you do run into those barriers, it's going to turn those barriers, those obstacles, into opportunities for you. And Chris is, for the first 40 people that get started with our coaching program, that sign up for our coaching program, that instead of charging thousands of dollars like he does for working with him, for the first 40 people, they're going to be able to work with Chris free. And so we want to tell you then about how to do that. And so this is what first, though, we want to go through what our coaching program can do for you. It can help you to make choices in your life which allow you to be your true, authentic self. It's going to tap into your true self and have clarity for you so that you know where you're going in the next 10 years, so that you can move forward creating the life that you absolutely love every day, all day long. We're going to teach you and help you with a magnetic process so that the action that you take is magnetic action. It's creating the life that you love by being drawn and being pulled to it, not having to feel like I've got to get some motivation. And then it's also going to take those monkeys that are in your life, and it's going to eliminate them. And it's just going to help you. And that doesn't necessarily, maybe you have a monkey in your life that is a relationship that you have. It doesn't mean you have to eliminate that relationship. You're just going to eliminate the negative impact that relationship has on your life. That's all you have to do with that. And so you can keep that relationship, but then just eliminate the negative impact it has on your life. And so that's one of those monkeys that we help you to get rid of. And any other monkeys that are out there as well, that are maybe the monkeys that you create yourself. That's the big gorillas out there. We're going to help you turn all of that into opportunities for yourself as well. You're going to be part of a tribe that we're creating. This tribe already has, I think, 2,000 people or something like that in it. And we're going to help you to come aboard and be part of that tribe. And this is a tribe of people who will be there. You can run and you can be your authentic self. For me, I'm out there in that tribe and telling people about my ethically and consensually non-monogamous lifestyle. People aren't judgmental. And so these are people then that will inspire you in all those areas. If you want to be inspired in your health, whether that be for weight loss or getting off prescription medications or becoming well or whatever area of your health. If you want people that are going to be able to inspire you with your wealth, inspire you with your relationships, and inspire you with your sex life. That's this community that we are creating that'll become part of your tribe that you'll be able to run with. Coaching will help you to be selfish, so you can make a lot of money creating the life that you desire the most, to do whatever you want to do with that money. Coaching is going to be the magnetic action that you take, pulling you to the life that you love to live. And the coaching will give you your highest and best self to everyone and everything that you care about, starting with serving yourself first. And it's going to do a lot more for you than that. So here's some magnetic action steps for you to take now. The first thing there is to, again, like, subscribe, and comment. And then the next thing is sign up on the email list for Non-Monogamous Lifestyles Association. And there's a link down there in the description box. Just click on that link and go there and sign up on our email list. And then the last thing here is to get that powerful transformative bonus that our mentor Chris, worth over $6,000, is providing free of charge. People that are going to be in that program that you're going to be a part of, that you're a part of that tribe. Those are people that have paid him a lot of money to be in that program. You're going to get that absolutely free if you're one of the first 40 people to join our Foundations to Freedom coaching program, so that you can create the magnetic, ethically and consensually non-monogamous life that you most desire to love. And it'll be a life that you live and love having. And so then all you need to do is there's a link down there in the description box where you can get a free 30-minute coaching session, because I'm sure that there's more than you want, and you want to know more about the coaching program and all. What do you get? What's it cost? And you have lots of questions. But what really can we do for you? You may want to talk about some of your own issues that you're having and struggles with and so forth, and say, well, how about this? Can you help with this? What would you do with it? And going over, like, what are some of those processes? Not only the recoding, but there's other processes that we use as well. And so we're going to give you a free 30-minute coaching session. Now that coaching session is a $189 value. And, $189 value, please don't waste our time, but take and come in there ready to find out about how we can help you to create a life that you love. And so the link is down there in the description box. Go ahead and click on that link. And thank you very much for being here today. Come